What is up, guys? Today, I'm in the same shirt again. I'm making a vlog like 5 seconds after my last one, so if you haven't seen it, click there. It's about the overheating issues we're probably going to encounter on the R3. But today, I wanted to talk about some of the new awesome features that we are seeing in the new R3. I'm gonna go over some of the new stuff, and I'm gonna briefly go over the old stuff we already knew. But let's talk about the R3. All right, first and foremost, we already knew this camera was going to have a stacked sensor, 30 frames per second in photo shooting, silent shutter. We knew it was gonna have some better, cooler autofocus, dual card slots, and a few other things. But let's go over the really cool new stuff. So to start out, we obviously have a new processor, and it goes up to 102,400 ISO for photo, and it can expand up to 204,800 for photo in an expandable ISO. The next thing we have is a new autofocus detection system, so it can detect your eyes, face, head, animals, and vehicles. It'll actually put a square around the entire vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle or a car, and it'll follow that with focus, along with animals, humans, whatever. The autofocus is going to be just blow your mind good. And then we're talking eye control autofocus. This is really hard to explain without watching Canon's video. You look through the electronic viewfinder, and whatever your eyeballs are looking at, that's what your camera will focus on, which is so cool. For photographers, this is game changing. I mean, for video, you don't normally look through the viewfinder, but that's so cool. One of the other biggest things I have seen is that it shoots 6K, 60 frames per second in RAW. Yes, 6K. So look out, Blackmagic, we're getting 6K. And it's actually going to be usable. There are some overheating speculations on Canon's spec sheet, but they're not bad. They're not bad at all. 6K 60p RAW, which I would assume it also does 6K 24 and 30 in RAW. And you can also still do 4K 120 10-bit. That's all in Canon Log 3. This also still has your IBIS, just like the R5, dual memory card slots, same battery as the 1DX, and same body-ish as the 1DX. So that's really the main huge things. And another thing I wanted to talk about was some video shooting modes. There's some really cool resolutions that we should talk about real quick. The 6K 60 RAW shoots at the same bit rate as the R5's 8K, 2600 megabits per second. That's a lot of data. Just keep that in mind. We're looking at 50 minutes of data for a 1 terabyte drive. That's a lot of footage, so just keep that in mind. All the other bit rates for 4K and all that are the same as the R5, so we're at like 1000 to 1880 megabits per second for that. We also have the ability for raw light in 6K and 24 frames, 30, whatever. So you do have the ability for raw and raw light. We still have all-eye IPB and IPB light for 4K. No RAW in 4K, at least on the spec sheet. You still have full HD and 120 frames per second. There is no 240 frames per second in 1080, which I kind of expected it to have, but it did not. But that's totally fine. Again, you can only shoot 6K with a CF Express card. You cannot shoot it with a regular SD card, whether it's RAW or not. But from the looks of it, you can only shoot 6K in RAW. There is no other option for 6K other than RAW or RAW Light. You can't do all-eye or IPB. But for 4K, you can do all-eye or IPB on either an CF Express or an SD card, depending on the frame rate you're shooting at. That's all pretty similar information to what the R5 does, but that's just some interesting information to know about the 6K. So it looks like you're still at 10-bit for your 4K modes and everything. It's 10-bit internal recording, just like the R5 in 422 color space. And then you're looking at about 12-bit when you're shooting in RAW. So those are really the big things. The main things to take away from this is 6K RAW in multiple frame rates, 4K 120, 4K 60. There are some overheating stipulations. See the video here if you want to know more about that. And then lastly, I also wanted to mention this spec. I saw somewhere it's going to have unlimited recording limits, which is brand new for Canon and really awesome. It doesn't say anything about it in the spec sheet, but it does show that you can record for more than 29 minutes, 59 seconds. So we're looking good on that. So just keep that in mind. Maybe having unlimited record limits, that's huge, pretty awesome, but I cannot find it anywhere in the spec sheet or on Canon's website. But from the looks of the spec sheet, it looks like it will have that based off of some of the stuff I saw. So that's really it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the R3, let me know in the comment section down below and I will be happy to answer them. I'm gonna get my hands on it ASAP and we'll talk then, but I'll see you on the next one.